another thing that'd be great in the comments is it's like I still haven't got to listen to Rotary Connection. It's like this very, very lovely young lady named Jacqueline was telling me about it. I had never heard of it. It's like, I don't know if anybody, it's one of those things where it was kind of hard to find it online because the first album was literally just called Songs. And I can't ever decide if that really is a nice artistic interpretation of it, or if that's just one of those things where it's like, I mean, it seems like lazy album naming to me. It's like, on the one hand, it's kind of like calling it Collection. It's like, you know, it's like...
You have the second one called More Songs?
Yeah. Well, no, the second one is called, oh, I know it. It's called Rainbow something, but not Rainbow Connection, which I still haven't learned how to play yet. It's like, okay, so the last thing I missed out on that really just killed me on the inside. Fair St. Louis happened 6 days ago.
Yeah.
And guess who the headlining band was at Fair St. Louis this year?
Oh yeah, I saw that.
It's like the motherfucking Flamin' Lips.
Yeah.
It's like Wayne Coyne was probably singing Rainbow Connection underneath the arch in my hometown.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know about it till afterwards. I haven't even watched any of the video because it'll just make me sad. It's like anybody that's out there looking for a little bit of really truly musical inspiration, don't just pick up anything by the Lips, not that it's not all good. But there's a 3 or 4 disc set that's called Finally the Punk Rockers Are Taking Acid. It's got a lot of the same songs over and over, where you'll have like a live version, the demo version, and then the EP version. Because they put out like 3 or 4 really, really solid EPs right before they put out, I believe it was called The Clouds Taste Metallic, which was the album right before Satellites of Love, or Satellite Transmission, or Transmissions of Love. Whichever one had the Tangerine song on it. The album before that was The Clouds Taste Metallic. And before that, I believe it was only EPs. Back when nobody knew what to make of them, and if you didn't watch 90210 like a hardcore fan, it's like you would never have heard of the Lips. Circa 1995 or so, 94, it's like, yeah. But they're a collection of all their EPs and a bunch of their demos and a bunch of live tracks. It's called Finally the Punk Rockers Are Taking Acid. And it's like anybody that listens to Yoshimi and the Pink Robots all the time, it's never heard any early Flaming Lips, you really need to do so. It's like, I don't know why people have to tell you this type of stuff, you should just know. But yeah, it's like that was rant of the day number 2 because I love the Flaming Lips so much. So
was that Flaming Lips that you insist on listening to all the way back from Ozfest?
I don't remember at the time because it's like, I want to say no because that was Ozfest 06. I think that Melissa got this, the box set I bought after she bought me Soft Parade. And she bought me Soft Parade, I think, in Christmas of 2006. Because one year for Christmas, my wife decided to act like she actually knew who I was and cared about me as a person. So she gets me a Flaming Lips CD, a guitar tuner, and a Nirvana t-shirt. One that had like the 7 rings of hell, or the 7 levels of hell on the front, but it was green and white instead of the classic black and yellow, but it was still cool. But it's like fast forward to about 3 days later, and I'm standing in the living room, and I'm listening, or I might have been sitting down. Either way, I was in the living room and I'm listening to the Flaming Lips CD that she just got me. And she's just like, what the fuck are you listening to? And I'm like, you don't know who this is? And she's like, no. And it's like, wait, this is kind of weird because it's like, I don't think there's any way in the known universe to listen to a track by the Flaming Lips and not almost immediately, it's almost like the Foo Fighters or Radiohead. It's like you may not know which Foo Fighters album it's off of, but you're pretty sure that's Dave Grohl singing a sweet melody over a little bit of, you know, slightly 70s tinge, you know, big rock. It's like big rock, you know, arena style rock. Or Radiohead, it's like, you know, it's like you can almost hear the guy sitting in the chair twitching because Tom York is just that, you know, profound. Wayne Coyne's on that same level. And it's like the very idea. So I start taking out CDs, popping in different CDs, and it's like, who's this? It's like, I don't know. It's like Smashing Pumpkins, because Billy Corgan doesn't have a distinct voice whatsoever. There's no way anybody's gonna hear Billy Corgan singing and be like, huh, it's like, I wonder who that is. It was just crazy. It's like my entire life was a lie. It's like I wasn't aware of that. Because even 20 years ago, day 1, boot camp, first day, it's like I'm asking a chick, it's like, hey, have you ever listened to this band? It's like, yeah. It's like, oh yeah, I know who they are. It's like, what's your favorite album? It's like, what's your favorite track? A lot of that was installed, a lot of the really, really deep probing was installed after the ex-wife. So this is one of those stories that really shouldn't be broadcast on the webs, but I'm more than willing to roll with it because it feels organic like this. It's like, this is how you get to the real center. So me and Glenn are roommates 20 years ago. there used to be the most amazing station in the world, 93X, from right here out of Steelville. It was this amazing thing where it would play the song and they only had one commercial break per hour that was 1 minute at the top of the hour. And then after the song, there would maybe be like a half a second delay, and then they would name the name of the artist, or the name of the song and the artist, or sometimes the name of the album and the name of the artist, or the name of the album and the name of the song. There was like 3 different combinations there. So I used to have trouble breaking it off with a woman. It's like, you know, sometimes it's like it's been 2 days, it's been 2 months, we really ran our course. It's like I don't really see any more reason for us to be interacting and spending a lot of time together. But one of those things I'm known for is a lot of repeat business. It's like, you know, it's like when you have a great product, it's like people are going to come back all the time. It's like they're occasionally going to call and be like, hey, do they still make this anymore? And it's like, yes, I make it fresh every day. It's like, how crazy. I know. But anyway, so for a while, it's like one of the only ways I could find to really truly discourage a girl without worrying about hurting her feelings was to act like it was a purely academic thing. So it's like there would be a stripping down of clothing, we would sit in the bedroom, and it's like anytime that you hear a song you think you recognize, go ahead and buzz in and say, yes, I know who this is Stone Temple Pilots singing Sour Girl. You know, and you didn't even have to name both. It's like if you could tell me, hey, this is Stone Temple Pilots, or hey, this is a song called Sour Girl, or hey, this is even off of an album called Number 4. I think it's Black and White. I think there's a video with Sarah Michelle Gellar. You don't even have to know the name of the song or the name of the artist. It's like that still counts. You know, it's like all you gotta do is know one thing about the song. And some of the songs, I mean, it's the late 90s. It's like sometimes they're saying the name of the song over and over. It's like she was a sour girl the day that I met her. It's like, you know, it's like, I mean, it's right there in the song. It's like they say it all the time. Not every song's like that. I mean, they don't say lithium in the song Lithium, but that's still early 90s, not late 90s. We'll get to the classification system that I was running by Glenn a couple of days ago that he doesn't seem to think is appropriate. I think it's appropriate. You can't just go with the decade because there's a whole lot of stuff going on in the decade. It's like it should be by generation. But I digress. So if you can name 3 songs in a row, then you get to have relations with this guy. If you couldn't name 3 songs, you had to put your clothes on, go back in the living room and wait 20 minutes and think about how you failed, and then come back in and try the whole process again.
Yeah.
It's one thing to go back in the bedroom 4 or 5 times in an hour and try to say, hey, it's like, you know, I have a little bit of luck game show style. I watch Wheel of Fortune. It's like I'm not really bad at it. I used to watch, oh, what was that one with the guy Mark Summers? Double Dare. I used to watch Double Dare and not feel lost, you know? I should be able to do this. And it's like, but it's another thing entirely to come back multiple days in a week and never win the prize on a game show. If I'm on Jeopardy the first day and I don't win, and then the other guy that did win gets sick and they're like, hey, do you want to come back and, you know, be our replacement guy? It's like, no, because I didn't win the first day. I'm not going to keep coming back and losing at the same game show every single day. If there was a couple of different categories, it'd be one thing. But this is the Midwest, people. You try to find me one woman. If there's anybody in the Midwest, you know, living right there on the buckle of the Bible Belt, who knows who Mariana Abramovic is, I don't care if you're a woman or a guy, it's like put it in the comments because I want to hear about this. I'm well aware, but that's because I look into extracurricular activities all the time. It's like I can give you a hint, she's a performance artist. I'm relatively sure I'm pronouncing it correctly, but at least to look at it, it looks like Abramovic. Marissa? Maybe it's Marina. It's Marina or Marissa Abramovic. Brilliant performance artist. Right up there with Hannah Hess, although Hannah Hess was not a performance artist, but her last piece, spoiler alert, counts as a performance art piece. At least that's how I feel about it. Other people may disagree. It's like that's why we live in America, so we can discuss stuff like this. You know, you can take rope apart and cover it with latex and you get a really amazing effect. I didn't either until I found Hannah Hess.
Huh.
It's like, I don't want to spoil it, but it's like they found this really amazing work of art in her apartment. She took a bunch of different types of rope. This is another spoiler. Unravels them to a certain degree. Weaves them back together into this thing that looks like Spider-Man had a misfiring on his web shooter. And it just kind of stuck there at a sort of angle on the ceiling. They were very specific about measuring from the ceiling down to the point of contact with the piece, so that when it was rehung, it could be done in its traditional fashion, or they could put magnets to it or something and, you know, do it where it's like, huh, it's like this is a slight interpretation of Hannah Hess's final piece. Truly a truly brilliant woman. It's like, yeah.
But it kind of looked like a tree roots system, like a
kind
tree
of,
roots.
but just kind of floating there, almost like the In Watchmen,
spreading out.
yeah, in Watchmen, when the guy blows himself up and slowly reattaches himself, when he first gets his nervous system put back together, it looks kind of like a section cropped out of the middle of that, just kind of floating there. Because the ones that are hanging it to the ceiling, they're just like fishing line, and then it's just kind of floating there like a cloud. And then it's like she would unravel it all and weave it back together in this like spider web. Like, if you could take a spider and give him acid and then make him make a web during the time that he or she is on the acid, and then it's like just kind of look at it, that's what it looks like. But it's bigger.
Video I saw one time, but I thought it was something serious, but they were showing all these spider webs made by spiders that were on different drugs. But then the last one was the punchline.
That's so crazy, because it's like, that sounds like an Onion video or whatever.
It was something like that. The last one, I shouldn't have brought it up since I don't remember what the punchline was. But the final scene was whatever drug it was, and suddenly the spider took on the human characteristics of somebody doing that drug. Like, you know, whether it was the last one that was meth, and then the spider's like doing
everyone, the squares is perfect on the fucking spider web.
Yeah.
You go from the center outward, and you can take a ruler to it or a micrometer.
I think it
and it's
more
like
to do with like hiding from neighbors and crawling around with them.
I mean, maybe he made something. Maybe the spider. I can't say the gender of the spider because it's like that would be sexist. But it's like maybe the unspecified gender spider made something that looked like a pot leaf, and it was because it was on marijuana.
Yeah, wasn't that exact? I'll see if I can Google it. I'm sure it's out there somewhere.
It's so funny though that it's like, see, this is the type of moments that happen in the real world. I say spiders on acid, and Glenn's like, I've seen a video where spiders are on different drugs.
I love the internet.
Oh, I know. So right now it's like, it's a real funny time in the Facebook universe. And I'm sure there'll be a link to our Facebook accounts on here. Very specifically, now it's like Donald Trump, who is our current president. I don't know if you found this video in a time capsule or not. Our current so-called president, I was holding the hands there just for doing the air quotes. He very specifically has a tendency to say stuff that's not even based in reality. Like, it was just recently the 4th of July, and he's talking about how the Revolutionary Era soldiers were taking over airports. And it's like, really? It's like, was that with Bill and Ted? It's like, if you don't know who Bill and Ted is, it's like, you really need to get up on your Keanu Reeves. It's like, I know if I would have said Marty McFly, you'd all be like, Morty? It's like, no, it's Marty. It's like, it's not Morty, it's Marty. Okay? It's like, but Dan Harmon, he's a hell of a guy. I don't care what anybody says. It's like, if you've never heard his Dan Harmon's one of the guys that he created Community, and then he's one of the co-creators of Rick and Morty.
Yeah. Didn't shit go bad for him or something?
Okay, there's a 9-minute video, or I guess it's mostly audio, I don't know if there's actually video of him, on his podcast where he's apologizing to this chick that he was sexually harassing when she worked on Community.
That's right, I heard it on NPR.
Yeah, I heard it on NPR too, probably the same day.
Yeah.
It's like NPR, it's like, if you don't know what that is, you should be ashamed of yourself just a little bit.
Everybody knows what NPR is.
You know, I'm sure everybody out there knows what PBS is, and NPR is like PBS, but on the radio. Radio is not a dead form. It's like, people think it's a dead form, but it's not a dead form.
Did you just cross the line into mansplaining?
No.
Okay.
No.
Because I never really understood what that meant.
Well, no, mansplaining, this is mansplaining here. I suddenly just realized in retrospect that most of you probably only listen to podcast downloads of NPR. So for you, NPR is exactly what you're seeing right here, but less of an accent and a little bit, you know, less academia. But in my mind, NPR is still National Public Radio. You probably see a lot of NPR podcasts, and I don't know if they have video or not. I haven't made a point to go to npr.org yet and check it out. But it's like, Meg Chakravarty, how do you say her name? Do you remember?
Oh, I don't know.
I can't remember how to say her name, but it's like, she's a lovely woman. It's like, her voice is like, I just want to live inside of her voice on top of a cloud in a nice place where there's not too much sun, but there's just enough sun.
Anyway, getting back to mansplaining. What is it?
Mansplaining is where I just said to all these kids, it's like, hey, I don't know, you might be adults, you might be kids, it's hard to say. It's like, who knows where the target demographic truly is. But it's when you're explaining stuff in almost like a sexist fashion where it's like, oh, it's like, you're not going to know what NPR is. It isn't that I didn't think any of you knew what NPR was. I just assumed that none of you listen to the radio anymore.
It's the implication that because of somebody's gender that they're not going to fully understand what you're talking about.
Well, not just their gender, but it's like you're a father talking to a son, and it's like you're talking about masturbation, and it's like the first thing you want to do is pull out your penis. It's like, really, Dad? Am I going to somehow masturbate without pulling out my penis? It's like, why would you have to tell me that? It's like, what level of stupid do you think I am? It's like, that's like saying, get in the car, put on your seatbelt, put the key in the ignition, and turn it. Now, granted, it's like I can see them glossing over those steps, but it's like, do you really think that I'm not going to get in, put on my seatbelt, and turn the key first? I mean, I guess I could check my mirrors first, make sure my 10 and my 2 doesn't have anything sticky on the steering wheel. It's like, that's a name drop for Darren Hunt, who didn't want to try garlic cheesy fries yesterday because he didn't want to get any oil or grease onto the steering wheel because it might make it sticky. Oil and grease doesn't make stuff sticky, man. It makes it the opposite. It makes it lubricated. It's like, it might help you get your hands on and off of the wheel faster for those really hairpin turns when you're going way too fast around a corner where the sign says 40 and you're actually going 65 to 70 because your odometer doesn't work. Not your odometer, your speedometer. I did that same thing yesterday. I started calling it the odometer instead of the speedometer. But Darren deserves that type of treatment, and this is why. He calls it a voltmeter, refuses to say voltometer, acts like it's not a word. It is a word. It's not called a voltmeter. Maybe in some foreign country, but not in this foreign country.
I think you have to add a letter to it to make it voltom, whatever you're saying.
No, it's like there's a voltometer, because it's like voltmeter, but it's
so
like
is
Tom.
there a between them?
No, voltometer.
Oh, okay, voltometer.
Yeah, there's a voltometer.
Yeah.
And there's a voltometer.
They're probably called a voltmeter.
Those might not be even spelled the same way. Now that he's got me thinking about it, I think there might be an extra vowel in there. But either way, I know it's actually a voltometer. No, vol, there's V-O-L, vol, and then there's Tom, and then there's etter. Instead of a voltometer, it's a voltometer.
Alright.
And it's like vol, Tom, etter, voltometer.
We'll have to ask Google about that one.
I don't ask Google about shit because that bitch don't know.
See, now that was sexist.
No, because her name is Siri, and Siri is a female name.
Siri's.
I guess
Apple.
it could be a general neutral name.
You're talking Alexa.
Oh.
You're mixing up your IAs, man.
Darren never calls it Alexa. If you haven't seen the movie Her, you need to go out and see it. After you've seen the movie Her, you have to watch the movie Robot and Frank. That is ORBOTANDFARNK. Not to be confused with Robot and Frank, which is an upcoming film. I don't know when it's going to be released. There's still a lot of debate in the green room about whether it's going to be stop motion or not stop motion. I'm in favor of stop motion because Robot Chicken is a shiz.
We went to good buddy. We're just going down the road a little bit.
But other stuff is not stop motion, and it's still artistically valid. But is artistically valid as Robot Chicken? That's hard to say.
Now, I talk about Robot Chicken. I'm on IMDb all the time, the Internet Movie Database.
Yeah.
And I am always amazed at how many people have done voices for Robot Chicken.
Now, after you say IMDb, when you say Internet Movie Database, that's mansplaining.
Just because I'm assuming that somebody may not know what IMDb is.
Yes, in this day and age, it's like, it's one thing to forget about using IMDb as you're having a conversation and getting mad because somebody's like, no, it wasn't this actor, it was that actor, and somebody else is like, no, it wasn't that actor, it's the other actor.
Well, the other day, I of course, talking to Dad.
Yeah.
Mansplaining is the language you use.
Well, it isn't so much mansplaining. I give Dad a pass on it sometimes, and this is why. I don't consider it to be because he thinks that we're incompetent about doing something as basic as putting on the seatbelt and turning on the car.
Right.
It's because there's so many different ways of doing something that's considered to be valid, but he wants us to know the perspective and point of view that he would use because that somehow is supposed to lend weight to it.
Right.
That brings me to my next rant of the day. I could have swore the last time that we was working on Debbie's RV, that very specifically, you handed me the screw gun, and it was the short one, and it had a short bit in it. And then I just popped the chuck and it popped right out. I am also very sure that subsequently to that, to make sure that it wasn't going to be an issue even though I wasn't thinking fast enough, I popped it in there and then popped it right back out. But sometimes it lodges in there in a funny way.
Yeah, I've had them lodged in there before.
When they get lodged in there, it's like, do you know what the answer is to it?
Jerk on it with a pair of pliers or tapping it.
Last time it was taking it over to Bremer's and giving them $15 to pull it out.
Oh, wow.
And Darren Googles it last night. We're watching the YouTube video. On the YouTube video, you take out the two O-rings, You take out the spring, suddenly there's no tension on it, so the whole outside sleeve should come off. Then the ball bearing doesn't have anything holding it in place, and it's like the bit should come right out. But we could only get the rings and the spring to come out. We couldn't get the cylinder to come off the outer sheath. And we kept trying to pry on it with a screwdriver, and it wouldn't happen.
I've put vice grips on them, just went like that, and then finally broke loose.
See, it's like we only had tiny pliers. We didn't have big boy pliers. But I want to say, I thought Dad was talking about putting the bit into the vise and then just trying to pull up on the rest of it.
Yeah, up and down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like DeWalt. It's like the long story short is, it's like the real headline is, you can't make anything that's a 1/4 inch size that isn't able to receive both short and large bits. That's just, I mean, that should be day one stuff, bro. It's like you're a huge company.
The short bits, though, you're talking about the magnetic ones. They're made to snap in, or the ones that have the circle around it so they lock it.
If it's the ones with the circle on it, then it's like that's the ones that are actually supposed to be used with DeWalt products.
Well, not just DeWalt, but yeah, that guy, because I got Milwaukee's got that too. But sometimes the key is you get a buildup on there, and you got to wire brush it off. So I got one that we get hung up all the time. I went to wire brush, clean the outside layer of crud off of it, and it doesn't stick anymore.
But this, I feel as though, is a simple design flaw on the 925s or 825s and 826s that I really feel as though if DeWalt has not addressed this yet, it's like, I'm calling you out, DeWalt, you need to address this issue.
No, those are ancient by now.
But yeah, but it's like
the 18. He's talking about the 18 volts that only I use.
With the big charger, not the tiny chargers, not the tiny chargeable batteries, the large chargeable batteries. Those might be ancient tech now. It's
they
like
are. I mean, those
they might even be outlawed. It's like I can't really say.
Not outlawed, but they are definitely old. And that's why I like using them, just because they're durable and cheap anymore.
It's not that DeWalt's not a great product. Although here's another issue, DeWalt, that I was recently thinking about.
Is that Darren following us?
Yes, it is. Whenever you switch from the 18 volt batteries to like the smaller but maybe slightly more powerful batteries, there should be a really open-ended thing for like 5 years where I show up at any DeWalt dealer and I'm giving them 2 screw guns, a Sawzall, and all the batteries I have, and they give me a Sawzall and 2 screw guns and the same amount of batteries or maybe slightly less batteries. And then it's like, you know, it's like I bought a DeWalt product because I'm a DeWalt user for life. It's like I really refuse to use other companies' products.
At least be able to trade them in.
Yeah, I should at least be able to trade them in.
Not dollar for dollar, but
yeah, it's like, I mean, I come in with 5 batteries, I should be able to leave with 3. It's like if I come in with 3 products, I should be able to get 3 products. I might have to pay 10% for an exchange fee. That's more than reasonable.
Battery just on the sake of disposal, proper disposal.
Yeah, proper disposal, if nothing else. It's like the end user should not always be responsible for this stuff. That gets us into another topic I've been hearing quite a bit about lately. If you're a company that packages, like say Tide Pods, or not Tide Pods, but other pods that are being used for washing clothes in washers and washers, all right? And you're using a big plastic tub that's got a screw down lid. You don't need to really have it in that plastic container. I shouldn't be responsible for selling or for getting rid of that plastic container at the end. The company that decides that that's the product that they should use is the company that should be responsible for getting rid of that product. There should be a large bin in front of my local Walmart where that's all that goes in there is those types of containers, or at least containers that have that type of plastic on it. So they have to use a couple of employees to actually sort through it. That's not my issue. If you're using, like, say, dishwashing detergent and it's actually liquid or liquid dishwashing detergent, or, you know, like washing machine detergent for your clothes, I think you should be using something that looks just like a milk jug, like a quart of milk that's all waxy plastic paper, you know, instead of any sort of plastic container. I think this would be a lot more recyclable. Why are we creating more plastic bottles? It's like, who doesn't know this?
Yeah.
It's like if you're a soda company out there, you should be using aluminum bottles. It's like if the beer companies are smart enough to do it, you should be smart enough to do it. It's like, are you really letting them, people that are out there purveying death and profiting from it, really have to give you cues on how to make the planet in better shape? Well, no, it's like that's an issue for another day. It's like I am gonna go ahead and exit the vehicle. Okay. It's like I gotta go dig a trench for a little while. It's like I got all sorts of stuff. It's like
to do.
I got all sorts of things.
All right. Well, I'm glad I could run you up there. Hopefully.
Oh, I know. It's
hopefully
like
he calls you.
I feel very sure.
And you sure the phone thing all works?
Oh yeah, dude. It's like I get. Yeah, it's like I get. I was just talking about the voicemails I get. It's like if you're out there looking for a job, only use the Indeed app and maybe the Weststaff staffing app. Don't go to any other website. They're just going to spam your mailbox all the time and send you SMS messages that links to go to nothing. It's like they won't go anywhere. It's like just take that bit with you. You really need to know that. It's like everybody needs to know that. All right.
All right.
You guys have a great one.
Ciao.
Like those shorts too.
Yeah. Thank you. That will get edited down just a little bit, but on the most part, that's my brother Nick, and what can you say? I just can't. Words don't do it justice. He's a unique individual, and just can't explain him. And it's funny. There's been times I'll run into people that we both worked with someplace, and they always ask, so what's your brother Nick up to? They never asked me what I was up to. I guess because they figure out, well, I'm probably, home with the 2.5 kids and a dog, and, working the 9 to 5. Well, Nick, he's, an aspiring rock star. He might be, doing God knows what to God knows who on doing God knows what. And, that's the stories they cared about. They, hey, what's your brother been up to? But anyway, that's Nick. And I've been wanting to do the one-on-one car ride thing with him for a while, even before I started my own channel, and because I just knew it, or I was hoping it would be a hoot. So we'll see. Let us know what you thought. If you want to see more of Nick and his crazy antics, just leave me a message down below, and I will have a link to his Facebook page if you're interested in getting to know him. And that's all I got for now. I worked all night last night, and I'm going home and going to bed. So this is Glenn for GMP Custom Fabrications. Live the dream till the freaking phone rings. See